Hello everyone, my name is Shubhajit and today we will be discussing about the use effect hook in React. Going to the explanation, the use effect hook in React lets you synchronize the component with an external system. Now, why do we need this use effect hook? So in React, there are a lot of things which we can do, but there are some of the things which are external to React, like some network requests, data fetching through some external API, or we can say using the JavaScript third-party libraries, or let's say animating the UI with the help of animate method in JavaScript. Or there are a lot of applications in which we need to go out of React and then do the stuff. So for that we need use effect. So use effect comes into the picture when we need to do some computation which is not present or which is not local to React, and that needs to be combined with React. So in that case, useEffect helps us. Let me go to the VS Code to explain you with an example. So here there is a chat room. Inside that, we have a state variable, server URL, which has an initial value of this HTTP localhost 8080. If we go to the UI, in the UI we have an input text box in which we have used the value as the server URL, which is the state variable here, and we have also kept on change handler, which actually sets the state variable to whatever is inputted inside this input text box. Okay, so uh, if I tell you in short and an easy explanation, whatever we type in this input text box, this onChange handler will be triggered and it will set the state value to that whatever is entered. And in turn, this state variable is present as a value inside the input element, which keeps them synced. So you can say that it's a two-way data binding going on here. So from the input element, the onChange is triggered and setting the server URL, and the server URL is a state variable which is again in turn used as a value here so that everyone keeps in sync. Okay, so after that, let me also show the UI how it looks like. So you can see that we have an input text box where we can make some changes. Okay, so yeah, let's refresh it and keep it to the default what it was. And yeah, so this is the UI part. Now let's go to the main thing which we are discussing today, which is the use effect hook. So one thing which we need to understand is this use effect hook actually runs after this UI is rendered. It means that initially when the component is created and is shown on the UI, this part is rendered first, okay? And after that, this use effect code runs. The main property of use effect is only that when the UI is loaded, after that it will run and it will do whatever it want to connect with the external system, and then if there are any UI changes which needs to be done after that, then it is done and the UI is loaded again. So this is a basic explanation which you need to understand. But the main thing which you need to take from this is the use effect runs after the UI is rendered. And okay, so let's see what is inside this use effect. So basically here we have created a connection with the help of this create connection method, and inside that we are passing this server URL and we are calling this connection dot this connect method inside the connection. Let me also show you what is inside this connect create connection. So basically it returns as an object which consists of two functions. One is this connect and other one is disconnect. They both have a simple console log statement, just to give you the demo here, but they will be containing they will be having some code in real-time applications. Okay. So yeah. So basically, whenever the use effect code runs after the UI is loaded, then it will create a connection, and then this connect method is called. Now you might be wondering that, okay, what is this disconnect method? So whenever this whole chat room component is unmounts, or let's say this use effect needs to run again due to some changes or due to something, this use effect, I will also let you know that when the use effect needs to run again later in this video. But now just understand, if the use effect have to run again, then what it does is it will run this cleanup code. This is basically a kind of cleanup code. So it will run this cleanup code, and then it will again run this part with fresh server URL if we have. Okay. So this return statement is generally required when the use effect, when the chatroom component is unmounting, or whenever the use effect is running again. So in that case, it needs to destroy the previous use effect instance, and then it will run this code again. Let me show you that in action. Okay. uh yeah, let us show that. Let me refresh this. Okay, you might be able to see 3 logs in the console of this web Chrome developer tools. Why are there 3 logs? First we need to understand that. So React in development mode is in strict mode. I can also show you where it is present. So if you go to app.js, where this app.js is called, the main is the index.js file. Can you see these two? React strict mode, inside that only our app is uh, bootstrapped, or the app is present. Okay, so the app is in the strict mode. So what happens in the development mode is that the use effect runs twice. Okay, so what is happening here, the use effect is running once, so this connection is created, then it is destroyed, so this connection dot disconnect is called, and then again it is called, so this connection dot connect is called. So that's why you can see this thing connecting to server, then disconnecting, and then it actually connects here. So it happens twice. That's why there is only one cleanup function, and the second time it actually connects. Okay. Now I also want to explain you the structure of use effect. So if you see inside the use effect, we have a callback function and we have a dependency array. Now this callback function is basically what will be running when the use effect is called. Along with that, the cleanup code. This cleanup code is actually optional. You can put it, you might not put it, based on your requirement. Now let's see what is the need of this dependency array. So this dependency array mainly denotes this dependency array is mainly present uh, to tell the use effect hook when to run. So whenever this server URL changes, this use effect will be running. This code will be running. This code. Okay. Let us do that. So let me clear the console and let us change the server URL. How URL? How can we change that? We can just type in something. Let's say 9. The moment we type 9, you can see that it disconnected from the server and then it connecting to server again. If I make one more change, let's say 8, it happens again. So what is happening here? Oh, sorry. So what is happening here? If you see that whenever this server URL is changing, this use effect is getting triggered. So in that case, the server URL is changed. Now the present use effect instance needs to be destroyed. That's why initially disconnecting from server at. So this connection dot disconnect is running. That's why disconnecting from server console log is present. And after disconnecting from it, a new use effect code runs, and you will be able to see that connecting to server. The number of times we make this change, the number of times these two things happen. One, cleanup, and then again creation. Okay. Now let us also see all the varieties of this dependency array. Let's say we don't specify this dependency array only. Then what will happen? So in that case, this use effect will run on each and every render. Okay, this use effect will run on each and every render. Let me show you that. So let me refresh this and clean up the console. Now okay, I have to add something here now. So I will tell you why I'm adding this. So I am actually adding a basic increment counter button. This is the basic example which we have discussed in the use state hook, so you can go and watch that. So here, if you see, what we have done is we have a count variable and a set count, which will increment this set count to the initial count plus 1 whenever we press this button, and it will, on the button we will show how many times it is pressed. Okay, so why I have done this? I have done this because I want to show you that whenever the UI is rendered, even not due to the change in the input or the change in the server URL, whenever the UI is rendered, this use effect is running. Even when this use effect code doesn't rely on the count, it doesn't matter count changes or not, there is no instance of count inside this use effect. So still this use effect will run. That I want to show you. So let's show it. Let me refresh this, and okay, now if I press it, you see this use effect is called, but it should not be called. Okay, why it is called? It is called because we doesn't have anything in our dependency array. So that's why dependency array is important. Else your use effect code is just like something which is written outside use effect inside the component only, because there is no restriction when it will run or not. It will run on every re-rendering of the component. So that's why you need to give this dependency array. Now let's say if the dependency array is empty, but you can see that it is giving us a warning that the server URL has a missing dependent React hook use effect has a missing dependency server URL. So this is something which is missing, and that is very true. But for now, if we ignore this warning and try to build the app, you will be able to see that with a single, like with no elements in the dependency area, just an empty array, this use effect will only run during the first mount of the component. It will not run after that. Let me show you. Okay, so in the first mount, this use effect runs, and also it runs twice, and that I have explained due to the strict mode. Okay, now nothing is happening here. Same, whatever I do, nothing is happening here. So now you can understand that giving an empty dependency array will only trigger it for the first time. So for the first time, whatever it is, okay, it will run twice due to the strict mode. In production, it will run once, but it will run whatever the dependency array is an empty dependency array, or we are specifying the actual dependency of server URL, or it's not only there. For the first time, it will run, but after that, it will run or not, it will depend on the dependency array. Okay, So now we have actually given the correct thing, that is the server URL which is used here. Now we need to see that how it is behaving. Now what is the criteria? Now, like is what should actually be observed here? Now if I press this, nothing should happen because it is now only dependent on the server URL, not on the count. So whenever the server URL changes, then only the useEffect hook will be called and this thing will be running. Now I press it how many times, nothing will happen. But the moment I change this input, you can see it is connecting and disconnecting from the server. So this is how useEffect is. And actually I have given a long explanation about this. You can watch it in 1.25 or 1.5 if you want, but this is about it, like. And please let me know in the comments if you have any doubt about this. I will be happy to help. Thanks a lot.